Regular meeting of the Seminole Airport Authority. Jay, call roll.
Stephanie Lambert.
Here.
Bill Wantland.
Here.
Tim Poplin.
Here.
Dee Dee Patterson. John Kramer.
Here.
Chris Anson. Here. Larry Church.
Here.
Corey Crabtree.
Here.
Jeff Griffin. We have a quorum.
We call this meeting to order. Consideration and action of consent agenda.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered. Items removed from consent agenda, there are none. Appearances or petitions from the audience? None. Motion to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered. That brings us into the Seminole Gas Authority. Call to order, roll call.
John Kramer.
Here.
Tim Poplin.
Here.
Dee Dee Patterson. Bill Wantland.
Here.
Corey Crabtree.
Here.
Stephanie Lambert.
Here.
Larry Church.
Here.
Chris Anson.
Here.
Jeff Griffin. We have a quorum.
Consideration and action of consent agenda.
Moved.
Roll call.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Tim Poplin.
Yes.
Bill Wantland.
Yes.
Corey Crabtree.
Yes.
Stephanie Lambert.
Yes.
Larry Church.
Here.
Chris
Yes.
Anson.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Any appearances or petitions from the audience for the Gas Authority? There being none, a motion for adjournment is in order.
moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So opposed. That brings us to the Seminole Utilities Authority. Call to order, roll call.
Dee Dee Patterson. John Kramer.
Here.
Chris Anson.
Here.
Bill Wantland.
Here.
Corey Crabtree.
Here.
Tim Poplin.
Here.
Stephanie Lambert.
Here.
Larry Church.
Here.
Jeff Griffin. We have a quorum.
Consideration and action of consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Chris Anson.
Yes.
Bill Wantland.
Yes.
Corey Crabtree.
Yes.
Tim Poplin.
Yes.
Stephanie Lambert.
Yes.
Larry Church.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Are there any appearances or petitions from the audience for the Utilities Authority? There being none, a motion for adjournment is in order.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That brings us then to the city council meeting, roll call.
Chris Anson.
Here.
Dee Dee Patterson. Stephanie Lambert.
Here.
Larry Church.
Here.
Tim Poplin.
Here.
Bill Wantland.
Here.
Corey Crabtree.
Here.
John Kramer.
Here.
Jeff Griffin. We have a quorum.
Let us stand for the pledge of allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Desagre bisi Michigan hanga gidudai to kasapkari kuchire beroma kolofa Seminole. Moment poetry Mulligan. Iti no kichukidis, moment chisi hada bisi anagiskas. O God, whose mercies cannot be numbered, accept our prayer of thanks for the city of Seminole, for all its people. Let us love one another, for you, God, our love. Amen.
Amen.
Consideration and action of consent agenda.
Second.
Motion's made and seconded. Roll call.
Chris Anson.
Yes.
Stephanie Lambert.
Yes.
Larry Church.
Yes.
Tim Poplin.
Yes.
Bill Wantland.
Yes.
Corey Crabtree.
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Elections and appointments. Consideration and possible action to approve the mayoral appointment of James Garrison to the Seminole Housing Authority Board for a 3-year term to fill the vacancy created by the resignation of Brenda Hanson.
So moved.
Roll call.
Chris Anson.
Yes.
Stephanie Lambert.
Yes.
Larry Church.
Yes.
Tim Poplin.
Yes.
Bill Wantland.
Yes.
Corey Crabtree.
Yes.
John Kramer.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Appearance or petitions from the audience.
We
Yes,
have
ma'am.
something. I'm Jackie Gill with the Arts Council, and we have been working on a project for the community that's community covered. So basically, you give a little, you take what you need. People would donate it, we would be responsible for maintenance on it, but what we need is permission to put it somewhere. And we put some photos on the back and we left copies up front. For people, we thought about maybe here at the library or across the street at Veterans Park. But we just want it to be somewhere accessible where people driving by can see it, and that way it'd be most beneficial.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand what it was when you first started talking.
It's a community cupboard.
Covered,
So-
okay.
If there's groceries or dry goods,
Oh, okay, I got one. Okay, thank you, I'm sorry.
So what goes in it, I guess, is what they're.
dry goods, clothes, food, canned goods, just anything that's not, you know, perishable
Or cash.
or cash.
No cash.
And we've had somebody put some risers on the bottom and a roof on the top, and it's weatherproof, sealed. They tried really hard to break the glass out of it, because we were worried about a safety liability. He said he hit that thing with a hammer more than 3 times and it never even cracked.
Because we were gonna replace it with plexiglass
Mhm.
before we even put it out there. So if the glass ever does break, we have the plexiglass to replace that.
Yep, that's pretty much it. We just wanted to bring this to city council just to see what you guys thought about placement and where we could possibly place it.
So you're gonna maintain it,
Yes.
the Arts Council is, I mean.
Right.
And, so for things that could freeze and bust, like canned goods in the winter and stuff like that, if you take those and store them somewhere else, will they still be available to, someone comes and says, hey, I see, you know, all you have out here is a picture of a can of spinach. You know?
Well, the town's not big, and I work downtown, and I figured if we put it somewhere in the Main Street district, that somebody would have easy access to just go, look, see what needs to be pulled, what needs to be put back. And it, you know, it could be community responsibility as well. If people appreciate what we're doing, it wouldn't hurt for them to just stop by and check and make sure everything's good to go.
Is it unlocked 24 hours? I mean,
Yes, but there will be a latch to keep it from
blown up?
blowing open.
Well, I've read good things about these things in other communities.
Yeah, and I think Tecumseh has one as well.
Okay.
Is there anything that keeps it maybe from tipping or?
That's part of the issue, depending on where we put it. We thought about, putting a T-post next to it and bracing it somehow that way. Or if we put it up to a building, finding some way to
Brace it.
Anchor
brace
it.
it, yeah, anchor it.
We can strap it down with a piece of metal.
We should have volunteers.
So the Arts Council is also gonna be responsible if someone sticks some food in here that may be contaminated, bad.
I think that
What
if you
happens to
take
that?
anything from a public place, you're assuming a liability for that.
I understand that, but in today's
Yes.
society where you're sued for anything,
That's
I'm looking
true,
at you guys.
but if you're giving food away, there's a different liability. And I'm sure the city attorney could confirm that, but I'm a paralegal, so I'd be happy to do a little research on it. But from my understanding, and this is not legal advice because I'm not an attorney, but the liability is different if it's a donation. So as long as the city doesn't have any issue, and we're not doing prepared food, so this will all be, you know, prepackaged
And the
stuff,
city would be
so-
responsible if somebody
Right.
complained anyway, because it would be our responsibility. We just want permission to put it out somewhere.
Is it a possibility to put it in front of where you work, to where it can kind of be looked at and watched over, and instead of just sitting out there for
I thought about that, but I work
All
in a
the
very,
dope heads to come and steal the stuff and take it and sell it?
I didn't know if the workforce building is that privately owned property?
It's the colleges.
Okay. I may talk to them because it's directly across from my office.
Be a good place.
Right,
Yeah.
right, people are already there looking for work and,
But
we
it-
don't, yeah,
I
cause
think
that's
it'd be
obviously a
better than just sitting it
concern.
down somewhere in the dark, and I just think you'd have problems down the road, but hey, I'm open for whatever y'all wanna try. You know, you're trying to do good, and I think the council's gonna be behind you.
We appreciate that.
Well, Tecumseh would have, well, I guess it's not a good thing to assume, but surely they've looked into the liability question.
Yeah. And the Arts Council is a nonprofit, so I mean, if we need to look into getting some sort of economically priced insurance. We're not opposed to that.
I mean, you can find that for cheap, I'm just looking out for you guys, I
Right.
don't necessarily, I mean, you look at candy that's given out on Halloween, and someone stuck needles in it years ago. You know, who's to say they won't stick a bag of flour that has something else other than flour in it, or whatever you might,
Yeah.
you know. So, I mean, I'm just looking at those situations where you have a kid coming, mom says, hey, go grab that bag of flour and bring it back to the car, and it's full of meth, or it's full of something.
I don't
It doesn't
think
matter who it is,
anybody's
someone's gonna be looking for who did this.
Well, I promise you, the meth heads aren't giving out their meth for free.
No,
It's
I
too
know.
expensive.
No,
But-
even the prank or-
But no, I know what you're
We
saying.
do.
I know what you're saying, but the
Somewhere.
street value of meth is way too high for it to give them away. But,
We
you
do
know,
find
that's
it
also
somewhere
where,
we can
that's
monitor
also
it.
where we'll be monitoring it. I mean, and unfortunately, you're right, it just is what it is today. But that's where we'll have to just closely monitor it, she'll be right there, I live pretty close. And if it starts becoming an issue, then again, we can just say, hey, look, we tried, this is again
We
something,
may even
yeah,
resort to
so,
using some sort of signage that helps people.
yeah.
Or something like that having, I guess you could reduce it down to non-edibles.
We
You know,
thought
I mean,
about
like
that too.
paper towels and toilet paper and.
Like no
tissue.
glass jars, no.
I'm thinking of it right now.
I assume that you guys were thinking more like ready-to-eat food, or like, like Pop Tarts type stuff, or is that what you guys were looking like?
Anything that's not perishable.
Yeah, yeah.
Like canned green beans, dry potatoes, dry milk.
Even
Blankets,
hats and
shoes,
scarves
hats,
and,
yeah.
jackets,
Shampoo,
shampoo,
soap.
deodorant, soap. But we do have to be aware that some
I think
people
you're
are.
gonna have to monitor it somehow, just like the food bank has someone down there, at least monitor stuff that may be expired or stuff like that. If you're not there all the time, I just see someone dropping that as a place to drop, here's some old food, let's stick it in there, then someone's gonna get sick, well, then they're gonna look for whoever's responsible. So, confusion's gonna be, if you stick that on somebody's property, are they okay with this and supporting it? Who can we get involved in this? That's the only thing that was scary.
Walmart and Cash Savers both dump their produce in the dumpsters. You see people down there going through those dumpsters getting that produce, and nobody's ever sued Walmart or Homeland or whatever, because
Right, but
I think it's kind of under control,
But
and they
they're
actually
not-
had to put locks on the top of them to keep fights from going on.
Right, but they're not
Great.
inviting people in, we're in some sense of the word inviting people, here's what we have, so there's I don't know.
Well,
That's
they
worked
can
other
business cards.
places.
Just thinking
I
out
put
loud.
it probably in front of Interfaith, where people actually go to.
And we thought about that too, but, I mean, that's kinda like,
We don't wanna step on their toes.
yeah, and we wanna make it more available to people who are walking around, I guess, and they're not open all the time. To me, it just seemed like putting two of the same thing right together was not as useful.
I don't think it's a bad idea, I'm just
Yeah,
looking at it.
working
from
out,
a-
yeah, smoothing out the wrinkles.
Who's gonna oversee it, that's the only thing I would,
It's unfortunately, it's a reality, what you're
it's
bringing
pretty
up.
sad.
So.
Do we have any insight from our attorney and city manager on that? Do y'all have any input?
I think it's a good idea, I mean, it would be, I'm just looking out for the city, I'm not against it at all, but putting it out on city property, one thing that comes to mind was the monument that fell on the kids over on the courthouse, property that hurt it hurt a child really, really bad, and the county, being sued because they let it go on their property and it was not properly secured. But frankly, if you're looking at the workforce building across the street, it's gonna be on private property, and I don't have a problem with that. And I think it'd probably be more appropriate anyway to put it somewhere like that, if we're gonna put it somewhere. They tend to have premises liability insurance, it needs to be
Right.
marked, probably the Arts Council, kind of what it is,
Right.
and that you guys are sponsoring it, you're a nonprofit, and that's what I would recommend.
That's definitely a good idea.
Maybe with a
Market
buyer
review.
beware type,
Yeah.
With
So-
the disclaimer,
yeah,
absolutely.
disclaimers on it. And that's the only thing guidance I could give you without researching it.
So proud the time.
So a little homework and bring it back.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Bring us some facts and then, you know, we're behind you. We just need to watch out for the
Okay.
city.
Would you be willing to give us a quote on,
It's, yeah, it's not that expensive.
cool,
But two, find a place that's got a camera. We just discussed it at the
Okay.
wellness center. Even if that business is not responsible for it, you can still have access to see the camera, to see who, you know, if someone pushed that over on a kid and that was the reason that he got hurt, you need that on video versus somewhere remote where there's, you can't view it,
great,
you know,
great ideas,
so.
awesome, thank you.
Yeah, I'm not like Brad. I feel for the poor and the hungry, so.
Thanks, Steve.
Good job, ladies. We'll try to do what we can.
Perfect, thank you guys, we appreciate the time.
Brad does have a
You'll
big
be
part.
taken from it, I'll be putting it back in.
Steve's gotta get rid of his mess somewhere, right?
Okay, so it's a desire that we pass this next meeting.
I like Del Monte.
Yeah, table it till, with the,
Table until you have a
report back.
designated
Yeah, and
location.
it's not an agenda item anyway,
Right.
I mean,
No, so we don't even have to do that.
No,
No.
this is not an action.
I think you just bring it to the city
Perfect.
manager.
But can we get it on the agenda for next
Perfect,
month
thank
then?
you.
You may not even have to do that, if it's
Oh,
not on
okay.
city property, I mean, just find a place for
Right.
it, and we can
Yeah.
help you, guide you a little bit.
Perfect, that's
Okay.
what we were looking for.
Very good.
Thanks, guys.
Current business, number one, consideration and possible action to approve the firefighting property agreement by and between the Oklahoma Department of Agriculture, Food and Forestry and the City of Seminole Fire Department for the exclusive purpose of fire suppression, fire prevention, and related emergency services.
Aaron, what is this and do we need it?
Yes, this is an agreement that apparently the state has failed to update in the past 10 years. We do have a valuable piece of equipment that is actually on loan from forestry, so if it's not signed, we may have to give that back. So,
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve, and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Well, we should do a roll call on that. Roll call, Jay.
All right. Chris Hansen?
Yes.
Stephanie Lambert?
Yes.
Larry Church?
Yes.
Tim Poplin?
Yes.
Bill Wantland?
Yes.
Corey Crabtree?
Yes.
John Kramer?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Number two, consideration and possible action to approve the memorandum of agreement between the state of Oklahoma and the city of Seminole regarding the transfer of State Highway 270 from the state of Oklahoma to the city of Seminole.
We're ready.
Can we say no now that it's paid?
How much
Second.
of 270
My turnaround.
We're not interested in doing that.
Yeah, that probably won't fly, but I did send them a pretty,
What about the rub boards? Are they gonna, will they be able to do anything about those?
yes, yeah, we've got solutions on the way. That won't be finalized,
Okay.
yeah, until they've got all that finished.
So does this make it ours when we pass this, or do we have something else coming?
This should be it. This should be it. To my knowledge, that's probably a
I
better
think we
question
should
for Brad.
give them a punch list
Yeah,
before we do that.
what we already have.
Does it specify how much of 270 is ours?
Yeah, it does. I don't have it in front of me. Let me pull it up.
Let
I'm
Brad
thinking
sign it.
maybe we
be
approve it,
responsible.
sunset it for about 3 years before it goes into effect. Yeah, if they do that, it'd be nice.
So as I recall, they graciously said you can let us pave it and then take it, or you can just get it anyway. We're gonna give it to us anyway.
Yeah, it does
Will that be
specify,
some
it also talks about the sidewalks and the resurface and the turn lanes, so I think we're good to go.
It's nice.
Yeah,
Motion to
It's
approve.
definite upgrade.
second.
Motion and second, roll call.
Chris Hansen?
Yes.
Stephanie Lambert?
Yes.
Larry Church?
Yes.
Tim Poplin?
Yes.
Bill Wantland?
Yes.
Corey Crabtree?
Yes.
John Kramer?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Number 2, consideration and possible action to approve the memorandum of agreement between the state of Oklahoma and the city of Seminole. Oh, we already did that, I'm sorry. That brings us down to reports. City manager.
A lot of cool things going on. Went to the first basketball game in the new gym. That was amazing. I think our children are being served really well. It's a really cool place, and I'm sure the tradition will build. Mike Grant is nearing the end of his tenure. I think I've mentioned to most of you that for the interim, we're going to put Bryant Baker into the Public Works section and let him supervise. During the budget season, it's especially sensitive that we have someone in there that knows budgets and how those things work. So I'm pretty excited to have someone of Bryant Baker's qualifications to be able to put into that, slide in that position. So Mike leaves a pretty big hole to fill, and it's certainly not going to be one person that is able to do that. So fortunately, we've got a tremendous staff with all of our folks are ready to chip in and try to help fill part of that hole. So Mike Grant's going away party at City Hall will be the 26th, I believe, right? Can anybody help me on that? Is it the 26th? 26th at 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. So please come by and say goodbye to Mike, and even though he'll have a couple of days after that, we want to be sure and send him off with a pat on the back. So we'd love to have you. Dee Dee Patterson, he's out of the hospital now. If you get a chance, you might go by and see him. He spent a few days in the hospital, but he's doing fine. So hopefully we'll get to see him at his last meeting next month. So wish him well. We did receive the natural gas study. It's really not ready for consumption yet, but here in probably the next city council meeting, we'll probably put it on maybe for an executive session to break out and go in and try to figure out what you guys want to do from there. Going into our negotiations, I want to point out that I'm saying negotiations for our police and fire service and for our budget, that so far this year, I saw they reported 1 month out of the entire year in the newspaper, and it happened to be a month that we were positive on our sales tax. I just want to point out that for the year on our sales tax, we're down 2.6%. So we're off about $47,000 on our sales tax. So I don't want you guys to get a false sense of what's actually happening, and we'll probably have to address some of that in our budget sessions, but that's about all I have.
City attorney?
I don't have anything. I'm the Grinch that stole food from the pantry.
That's good.
Okay.
I'm trying to protect you. He said no.
That brings us to remarks from the city council. Larry Church?
Well, women and girls is something I'll keep trying to inform the public about. Stress hormones are a cause of all sorts of physical problems in people. Ulcers, you hear that, ulcers, heart attacks, blah, blah, blah. And also emotional disorders are aggravated by it. And a pregnant lady in her 3rd trimester who is suffering stress, those stress hormones pass into the amniotic fluid, and the baby is bathed in stress hormones, which makes them anxious and nervous and so forth. And then when they're born, if they're female, well, male or female, they'll continue to experience high stress levels, so that's what they're used to, and their body produces them. And if they're female, they'll continue that the rest of their life to a higher level than they would otherwise. And so when they get pregnant in the third trimester, the same thing is passed on, but to a lesser degree. It takes about 4 generations to get that out of the system. It's not genetic, it's epigenetic. It's not something that you can just make go away by giving a shot. But what you can do is reduce stress in the homes of pregnant mothers, women and girls.
Is that why my wife's so angry all the time?
No, it's you, you have more to do that.
Oh! I was hoping it might be hormones. You're probably right.
No, I'm afraid not. I'm afraid, come and see me, I think you got a different problem. But anyway, there's ways that you can help reduce the stress in homes of single parents. Go to the local, babysitting service or something like that, or a daycare center, and see if you can find out who needs a donation to help reduce the cost of their babysitting so they can work. Things like that. Y'all are imaginative enough to come up with stuff. So, thanks for your time.
Ward 2, Stephanie Lambert.
Shop Seminole, I guess.
Pay more taxes?
Yeah. That's it.
John Kramer. Ward 3, Corey Bragtree. Tim Poplin.
Good, thank you.
Ward 4, Chris Hansen. Well, we should have consideration and possible action to enter into executive session under Oklahoma statute Title 25, Section 307B4, confidential communications between a public body and its attorney concerning a pending claim. Is there a motion to go into executive session?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, we'll take a 5-minute recess and then we'll be in the executive session.
Thank you, everybody, for coming in.
Meth free. I don't even know that.
We thought we put that. Can we go?
Try to go a lot.
Can they cut that by the police station?
Yeah, we're going.
No.
She's the one that won.
How was that for a quick, easy one?